Is Erin Kane the best representative for Caitlin Clark? Who is Erin Kane? Let's talk about it. Erin Kane is a sports agent who recently went viral when she sat down with the Diggin Deep Podcast. And to everybody's surprise who wasn't in the know, she's Caitlin Clark's agent. Personally, I don't pay much attention to agents, as most are pretty low-key. Not much Jerry Maguire antics in today's sports, and it never really dawned on me who represents the biggest athletes. Erin Kane's dad was actually an agent himself, and started with baseball. He was also a golf coach for Army, Stanford, and Oklahoma, so Erin has been around sports her whole life. She didn't go to school for sports and ended up studying the arts, and even worked in a museum. Her story is actually pretty amazing. She really started from the bottom and grinded her way into an agent's position. At one point, she was even told she couldn't be an agent because she had kids and was a woman.
Bruh.
Scott Boras was my baseball agent. He represents Juan Soto, and you obviously represent Caitlin Clark. There's really no numbers to compare to because she's going to be off the charts. So how do you and your team think of unique ways, or like, you have to go and kind of go to the drawing boards and create something after that, right? Or is that stuff that you just create the new market?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's not an established playbook. And I'm very lucky to be working with Alan Zucker, who's like probably one of the most iconic and prolific marketing agents in the history of sports. He works with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and I mean, just he's had like a ton of great experiences. And as far as clients like Caitlin, she's one of one. Mm-hmm. And so it really is just about like setting the market. And one thing Alan always says, and it's very true, is like the market tells us. Just like it's the fans that choose. I mean, there's this idea that like agents have all the control, or you can just sort of say something and make it into reality. But like the reality is you're reading the situation. Like it's the fans that choose. There's a handful of players that have like ignited this sort of level of excitement by being incredible at what they do, but also it's like how they do it. So it's Serena Williams, or you can pick. It's the iconic athletes, Simone Biles, especially when it's women. And Caitlin's one of those. It's like how she plays the game really captured the attention of a much, much broader fan base. And so when you're going to market, those are the comps you're sort of thinking of. It's like a Serena or Simone, or a Tiger Woods who changed golf, or because she's changing women's basketball. So
it's changed it, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's continuing. I mean, it's a rolling.
And that's got to be so crazy too. Like,
Kane isn't new to representing major women's athletes. As a matter of fact, Kane isn't new to the game at all. But is she the best rep for Caitlin Clark? Kane works for Excel Sports Management, who represents athletes, media talent, and brands. Excel represents some major players in the game too, with legends like Tiger Woods, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Nikola Jokic, Derek Jeter, and many more. We've all been a little worried about her current deal with Nike. She signed an 8-year deal for $28 million, about $3.5 million a year. This was highway robbery. But then again, we don't know what the details are in the contract. It could have been $28 million guaranteed, with the potential to make infinity, especially with the tsunami she's created in women's sports. Caitlin Clark fans are disgusted at the thought that Nike took advantage of their relationship with Clark from past nil deals and then capitalized by signing her to this prison term for chump change. We haven't seen any kind of real push, but things take time. There's a Clark shoe in the deal, but it's not like Nike was just gonna drop any old shoe. I'm sure the marketing genius there are cooking. There's no way they fumbled the bag not capitalizing on the dub savior. Or did they? And if Nike took advantage of Clark, they better make it right, or they're about to have millions of little girls wearing Adidas.
Bruh.
Erin was an agent to one of the biggest softball athletes America has ever seen. Her name, Jenny Finch. A former American softball pitcher who starred for the Arizona Wildcats for 4 seasons, from '99 to '02, would help lead her team to win the 2001 Women's College World Series and was named an All-American. Finch won gold in the Summer Olympics playing for the United States women's national team in '04 and won silver in '08. Time magazine would describe her as the most famous softball player in history. Jenny Finch was an absolute monster. She has a slew of other accomplishments and really did have an insane impact on women's sports. Erin Kane touched a little on how Jenny would be making tons of money in this day and age with how women's sports is evolving. I think she has a great understanding of how valuable athletes can be, especially when you know you're representing an athlete that is one of a kind, just like Caitlin Clark. Kane compared Clark to greats like Serena Williams and Simone Biles. I know some people saw some weakness in Kane's interview, but she's not repping Clark alone. Excel is going to make sure she gets to the bag. Think about the recent reports of Clark making over $600K in speaking engagements alone. She has endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, Panini America, Xfinity, and Gamebridge. During the season, you couldn't even buy a Clark jersey because they would sell out within minutes. Indiana Fever jersey sales were up 1,200%. Wild. As long as she doesn't get involved in Unrival's mess, she'll make tons of more money this offseason. $1 million doesn't even make sense to play in that league. Only $1 million?
Bruh.
There's a scene in the movie Boys in the Hood starring Cuba Gooding Jr., Lawrence Fishburne, and Ice Cube, when Fishburne's character asks a kid if he would rake his leaves for $5, and the kid says, $5? That ain't shit. I can make more than that doing nothing. I'm sure Caitlin Clark feels the same way. I'm Frankie Fingers, your host of the Vibe Sports Talk, and I'm out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace.